Hello, and welcome to Realtor Talk, sponsored by the Greater Pocatello Association of Realtors. My name is Greg Johnston. I'm a realtor with the Home Specialist Real Estate Company in Pocatello. I'm joined today by Paul Smith, a local appraiser, and Samantha Damron, Executive Director of the Eastern Idaho Development Corporation. Today we're going to be talking about the local economy, and it's a topic that obviously affects all of us. How things are looking in our local economy and what the outlook is for the future. Well, Paul, let's start with you. If you don't mind, tell us just a little bit about yourself, and that'll help us get a little bit of idea on your expertise as an appraiser.
Well, I'm a native Pocatello, born and raised here. Of course, I didn't spend my entire life here. A couple of years away in college, and then 3 years in the military, and I've lived all over the state of Idaho, including Boise, Idaho Falls, and Twin Falls. I've been in the real estate development and appraisal business for longer than you've been alive, like 48 years. Started out specializing in residential, but now I'm certified general appraiser. I can appraise anything for which I feel I'm qualified or properly educated.
Great. Well, that'll be helpful. Samantha, can you tell us a little bit about your job description and your role?
Absolutely. I am, again, the Executive Director for the Eastern Idaho Development Corporation. We have been around since 1982. We answer to the College of Business at Idaho State University, as well as a 15-member board of directors that's made up of various individuals throughout the community. We focus our attentions on 7-county area, including Bingham, Bannock, Power, down to the Utah and Wyoming borders. And those are where we spend most of our time, and those are the areas that our board of directors comes from. We specialize in 3 particular loan programs, the largest of which is the SBA 504 loan program, where we partner with local lending institutions to help small business people grow or establish small businesses. We also have a Pocatello revolving loan fund that we loan from, and that is a fund that was set up by the city of Pocatello to aid businesses located in the city limits of Pocatello. And then we also have a USDA loan fund that helps rural businesses, which is in our area anybody outside the city limits of Pocatello.
It sounds like you have a pretty good idea on the pulse of small business.
You know, we certainly do our darndest.
Can you tell us a little bit about maybe just that, the pulse of small business? What are a lot of small business people thinking in relation to our economy right now?
You know, the people that I've spoken with, I get different views. Some of them are nervous. Some are struggling more than others. Some are more optimistic that things are getting better. Depending on the industry, some felt the downturn more severely than others. It seems like the rural businesses are the ones that are struggling probably a little bit harder to come out of the downturn, mostly because they're rural businesses and
like farming?
They struggle already. Just any business in a rural community in general, they tend to have to fight a little harder for their dollar. Typically because of where they're located in the rural communities. Most people come to the larger metropolitan areas to do their business and sometimes overlook the local businesses in doing so. Which is where we come in to try to help with rural financing and aid with things like inventory increases and improvements to their property to maybe make them more likely to get those dollars to stay in their communities.
Well, it sounds like a lot of people are feeling that business could be better, that things are doing okay, but they are struggling, you know, from what you're seeing in your profession. Recently, the newspaper has commented that the recession's over. However, I think a lot of people locally still wouldn't agree with that. Based on what we're seeing, there definitely are some signs that maybe it's not over locally. What do you think?
Well, what I think, based on trends and things that economists look at, it might well be over. But I've also been told by economists that we didn't even know we were in a recession until we were at the bottom the recession and starting the climb out. So if that tells you what sort of a delay there is on coming out of something like this, we could still be feeling the effects of it for a little while, but I do see a lot of positive things happening. I see lending happening. I see businesses looking to grow and increase, and they're hiring people, and just a good general feeling that things are getting better, but there is still work to do.
Hiring is definitely going to be one of the keys. As people are hiring more, jobs are created, that's what will help people feel that maybe the recession really is over. Recently it talked about unemployment rates, and it sounds like the Pocatello area, southeastern Idaho, Bannock County, that our unemployment is actually lower than the national average and also lower than some areas of the state. If I remember correctly, we're at 8% when it was 8.1% the month before. So some jobs have been created and the unemployment rate has come down. Paul, have you seen anything that might support those figures, even anything with the economy that makes it appear that things are picking up a little bit?
I have. It appears that there's a lot more activity. Historically, I've observed that Pocatello's always a little bit out of step with everybody else. Yeah, if the coastal cities are booming, we're not. When they're going down, we're going up. And I think that's because of our geographic location and our population base. We've had a lot more stable economy, I think, because our fluctuations have been much less than I've observed elsewhere.
Well, we definitely are isolated a little bit. We're not as prone to some parts of the nation, and our economy is connected with the whole world, yet independent. You'll see Idaho promoting that we do export goods to other nations, and so that's neat that our economy is able to do that. But like you pointed out, Paul, we don't have the same effects with everything that happens in the nation. But it is amazing how we're a small community, yet something that happens in New York or in California can definitely have an effect on us here. Mainly with the small businesses, as you're seeing, do you see that a lot of our small businesses really focus locally, or do we have some businesses here that do a lot of business across the nation?
You know, I'm seeing a little bit of both. I work with some manufacturing companies that are manufacturing products that are shipped to various states, and so in that respect, yes, I see some product that is manufactured here and is going someplace else, and they're feeling the effects of what's happening nationwide a little bit more intensely. Most of the businesses I work with are local, locally based, locally funded. They live here, they work here, their dollars stay here. And yes, they're struggling a bit too, because the confidence just hasn't been there. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of times the negativity that comes across the news channels and you know what's going on everywhere else in the country comes back to roost here simply because it's public opinion. And sometimes we take what we hear and we assume that it's happening everywhere, when really maybe it's not as severe in some areas versus other areas. For instance, our housing market here, which you can attribute, is that, you know, we've had some slowdowns, but not as severely as, say, Las Vegas.
True. Well, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll discuss that topic. We'll talk exactly about the local real estate market.